Hello lovelies, how are you all doing today? I hope you are well. I am, but I've kind of, my energy's hit a bit of a brick wall. So I'm having a quieter day than normal. I could just sit back and fall straight to sleep. It's a beautiful day, it's warm, there's been a bit of sunshine, lovely gentle breeze coming through and kissing me on the cheek. Gorgeous, perfect day for being outside, but no, I'm staying home, just going very, very gently. Anyway, yes, and I do have something coming up, which I'm really excited to tell you about, which might help with my energy a little bit. We'll talk about that later. First of all, I had this lovely letter. Oh, I'll have to, it's from Patricia in Poland. So I'm gonna have to have the stamp off. Oh, that's another project to tell you about another day. But anyway, I had this lovely letter from Patricia. Actually, she made me laugh because it's typewritten. And she did say, because I don't think you'd be able to read my handwriting, then gave me a little sample of her handwriting. And Patricia, you're right. Can't read your writing. It's like, so on the continent, as opposed to, in mainland Europe, as opposed to a little island Europe, yeah, we just have different handwriting. We learn differently at school. And I remember the first time I was in France, and I was quite young, but seeing how they did their numbers, and I couldn't work out what the 1 was because it looked like an N. Anyway, thank you for typing it. The reason I'm mentioning it, apart from to say thank you, is within the first couple of paragraphs, oh my goodness, Patricia sent me off on a memory thing, as so often people's comments do, whatever, and I thought, just indulge me while we talk about this a little bit. Because she was mentioning how she likes tuning into my sort of chatty videos, sitting here chatting, and it's like being around the campfire having stories. And whoosh, back in time I went to camping. Now, we didn't camp as a family. We didn't need to. We were very lucky because my grandparents in Dorset, so we had accommodation. More of Dorset later. Ooh, tease. Anyway, so my camping days were because of the Girl Guides. So I was a Girl Guide. I loved it. I did love it. Once a year, the highlight though was a camping trip. We'd only go away, I think it was only about 4 days each time. And it wasn't very far, it was only about 8 miles up the road or so. So where I grew up had been an old mining town, really small town. But obviously by the time I was born, the mining industry had gone, sort of light industry by then. But, so it's kind of, you know, really urban, industrial, but immediately outside of my town, countryside, a lot of arable farming, big market gardening area. Yeah, you could smell it a mile off in the winter, all the brassicas in the fields, pooey. So where we went camping was some farmland. It's the same area every year, and it was a field that the farmer let us use, and it backed onto a small wood with a stream running through it. It's just heaven, 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 heaven. I loved it for so many reasons. I loved it for the adventure, for being outside. Oh, brilliant. All the practical aspects of it, all the building we used to do, and just that kind of the make-believe, you know, running through woods and making up stories and jumping across the stream and all of that stuff. But it always started, the first thing was we'd go on a coach. Oh, and the way, if any of you don't know Girl Guides, the way it works in guides is the company is split into little patrols. My company, the theme for the patrols was birds, So swallow patrol, swift patrol, robin patrol, and within a patrol there's 6 girls. And you have a patrol leader, a patrol seconder, and then the 4 younger girls. So when you first start in guides, you're one of the little ones, and you gradually build up until you become a patrol leader. Of course, such a swot. So each patrol, we get to campsite, and each patrol has their own tent. And to me, they seemed huge. Even when I was tall, by the time I was 13 or 14 and tall, they still seemed huge. And we used bell tents. I know some of you will know them, but for those who don't, they have a central pole, quite a chunky pole, central pole right to the top. And the tent is circular, and it sort of comes down like that, and then the sides go straight. So when it gets to about 3 foot off the ground, the sides go straight, and those bits from the ground, that 3 foot area, that can you can roll it up in the day, so you're just left with this almost sort of flying saucer. So the air can move through, because of course the ground is grass, so letting the air move through means it doesn't get sort of damp and messy in there. So yeah, the first job was always erect the bell tents. And so there'd be sort of 4 or 5 grown-ups would come to camp with us. So the company leader, company seconder, but they'd usually bring, there'd be a couple of friends, maybe a couple of the mums or whatever, just to help oversee it. So there'd be an adult and the little patrol to get up one of these tents. And I remember even my first year, I wasn't patrol leader, I wasn't even patrol seconder. And I wanted to get stuck in and help with this tent. And they were like, no, you're too little. And it's like, no, I'm not too little. I'm big, I'm strong. But yeah, we get these huge tents up. And it's just so exciting. And then all the beds are spread around in a circle. Not beds, the bedding rolls. So we'd have a bit of ground sheet. I mean, straight on the ground, pretty much. Bit of a ground sheet, and then a sleeping bag. And then the building work started, and I loved this bit. So the farmer, through the course of the year, whenever they were doing any clearing in the wood, or if a tree was dead and had been felled, all the wood was saved. So there'd be chunky wood, which we'd have to chop for the fire, of course. But lots of sort of stick, almost sort of beanpole sized sticks. So we'd be all sent off into the woods. And I think everything was left lying around on purpose for us, I'm pretty sure, in hindsight. So each patrol, we'd go off into the woods as a patrol, and we'd have to gather up loads and loads of sticks, not firewood yet, but sticks, bring them back to camp. And then the first job was to build our bedding roll holders. So these were a contraption that, based on sort of like a cross like that, 2 crosses like that, and then so you cross this end and across that end, and a pole across the bottom and 2 on the top sides, like a little manger almost. The idea with that is that in the morning, after we'd aired our bedding, everything would then get rolled up and put on the bedding rolls. So within the tent, your head would be nearest the side canvas a bit. All around the outside of the circle would be these little sort of mangers. So that was 1 for each girl. Get up in the morning, you air the bedding, then you roll up your bedding roll, and it goes into the little manger, so it's off the ground, so it stops it from being damp. So yeah, this is all on the first day. You have to build your bedding roll holder, and then build 3 wash stands. So 2 girls would share 1 wash stand. So the wash stand was built to about 3 foot high, and on the top it would be about a metre or so wide. On the top there'd be a little hole space, and into that would slot, it's basically a plastic washing up bowl. And then next to it, for the sort of draining rack, we'd lash lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of sticks together to make a sort of a surface. And on that, you'd put your soap, your flannel, your toothbrushes, all that sort of thing, and then a little platform underneath to hold towels and what have you. It was really creative and clever, and that's where I learnt to lash poles together. Oh gosh, I did love it. We also had to make, similar to the washstand, but and we made loads of them. I think every patrol probably made a couple of these as well. Is similar, but instead of there wasn't a hole for the plastic washing up bowl, it was like we were making sideboards, and instead of lashing the sticks right next to one another, they were lashed with a little bit of space, and that was for us after washing our dishes to put our dishes into, to drain, to put our pans on, to put our cups on after everything's washed. So everything's kept up off the floor. They can be, washed, just drip dried on there. Yeah, that first day, no wonder we slept well, because all the excitement of just arriving on the campsite, the joy of getting those huge tents up, in a circle, and then we'd build the cook tent. I can't even remember where the grown-ups slept. I guess they must have had their own tent too. We didn't have a grown-up in the tent with us. I think times have changed, haven't they? I'm not sure. A bunch of, 6 girls aged 11 to 15 would be allowed to be in a tent on their own anymore. I don't know, but we were. So get the tents up, make the bedding roll mangers, make our washstands, make the stands for the cook tent, the sort of whole kitchen area for washing up and drying up. Also, just outside our own tent, so all the tents would be in a circle, and outside each tent we'd make a little area for our patrol. We'd make a sort of like a washing line, so that in the morning the routine would be get up. Ooh, I don't want to get up. Oh, I've just remembered I'm at camp. Yay, I want to get up. Come out of your tent, have a wash, brush your teeth, that sort of thing. Bring your bedding roll out, hang it on the washing line to air. Back in the tent, get dressed, ready to start our day. And a little while later, after the beddings had time to air on the washing line, take them down, roll them up into their little bedding roll mangers, and then our day, the fun would start. There might be a treasure hunt, there might be all sorts of tasks, all those things that we did as guides that, to earn our badges. So there might be sort of like a pathfinding task set for an hour or two, where one patrol goes off and it has to leave a trail, but a trail in nature, so that it doesn't disturb nature. So all that thing of, with clumps of grass, bending a clump of grass over, putting a knot in the grass, but the grass points, so you leave it to point in the direction to follow, or twigs on the ground in an arrow shape. Oh, I loved it. God, I want to do it again. It was such immense fun. There were boring chores to do as well, like every day, and each patrol took it in turns, but for every meal, breakfast, lunch and dinner, all the pans have to be soft soaped. So it was like powdered laundry detergent with a bit of water added, so that it was made into a paste, and then just with your fingers you'd use that paste to coat the outside of all the cooking pots, so that after, because everything was cooked on the fire. It was proper old school camping. No Keller gas, no gas stoves, none of that. It was everything was cooked over the fire. So obviously all those pots then get blackened being over the fire. And then when you come to washing up, all that soft soap, it just kind of crumbles and chips off. So soft soaping, I think that was my least favourite chore. No, actually my least favourite chore was washing up after any meal. But just lovely times, lovely memories. That was something else, is going into the woods and finding logs and stumps and stuff to bring over to where the cook tent area was to create seating. Yeah, it kind of taps into all those things I love, both being outside, being inventive and creative in terms of problem solving, really, really practical. Everything that you do, it's practical. What's the practical application? You know, how do I keep my bedding dry? Right, you build something, building, and just running wild in the woods, running wild and getting filthy. And just, you know, I think it was probably 5 days, but 4 or 5 days of being filthy, filthy, but happy. And of course the evenings around campfire, singing, just, I still have so many of those songs in my head. Ging gang gooly 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 watcher, ging gang goo. I could do them all. And so many of them had actions to them, didn't they? I went to the animal fair, the birds and bees were there. By the light of the moon, the baby baboon was combing his golden hair. The monkey fell out of his trunk, bump. So down the monkey fell out of his bunk, bump. So down the elephant's trunk, the birds and bees, hang on. Birds and bees, sit down the elephant's trunk, sit down the elephant's trunk. I can't remember the next bit, I better remember it later. And there was a Canadian one we used to do as well, where about the land of the mighty moose. Where the mighty moose wanders at will. I'm going to have to remember this. Hang on, give me a second, I want to remember it. That's better. I wanted to grab my clip as well because my hair was annoying me. I've remembered part of it. Land of the silver birch, home of the beaver, where the mighty moose wanders at will. Bum, 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 bum. I can't remember the rest of it. There was quite an emphasis in girl guiding, on the Commonwealth, and learning about other cultures. It's fantastic. What a great move. I don't know what the movement is like anymore. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I remember when I did my Commonwealth badge, my 2 countries were Malaysia and New Zealand. But yeah, that song, I'm sure that song is I don't know whether it's from Canada, but it's referencing Canada. So yeah, loads of those songs around the campfire were about other countries, and just a joy. Innocent, utterly innocent. And like I said, I don't know if if a bunch of sort of preteen and just teen girls would be allowed to be in a tent on their own anymore. But what great skills, excuse me, I'm just scratching my back with the end of my fan. What great skills for us to learn. Those, you know, being away from our parents, those things of learning a bit of independence, basic skills with our hands of building things, cooking over a fire, cooking in one pot. What can we cook in one pot? You see, so much of that is in my life now. I'm a one pot cook, and when I'm in the garden, oh yeah, let me build something for me cucumbers to climb up. Or some of you might remember from a couple of years ago when I had my vegetable cathedral, and I had those great tree trunks all lashed together from a squash to climb up. It's all from Girl Guides. Yeah, happy days. So Patricia from Poland, thank you so much for that letter and prompting those wonderful memories of summers camping as a Girl Guide. And of course, you know, as I got a bit older and I kind of moved up in the ranks of the patrol, I loved being patrol leader. I loved kind of corralling my girls and encouraging them, and yeah, we're going to be the best patrol, we're going to get the most pennants, yay! Not penance, not paying a penance, penance with a T, not a C. Utterly loved it. Sorry, my nose is schnozzling. I mean, not schnozzle is itching. I told you I'm a bit flagging. Yes, so kind of a bit of a theme today because I want to talk about a DVD I've been watched or have watched. And it takes us outside again. And oh my goodness, I've had this DVD for ages, maybe 7 or 8 years. I find it hard to sit still and watch a film or that sort of thing. And quite often, you know, especially with, say, sport or whatever, I'm not going to talk about sport today for those who don't like it. But I more often than not, I tend to listen rather than watch because I'm doing something else at the same time. Yeah, I find it really hard to sit still. But I lost my train of thought. Yes, so this DVD. Part of this whole getting ready to move, and like I said, it's not going to happen quickly, but it's one of those things that, you know, each day I might do one tiny thing towards it so that eventually, you know, in 6-7 months' time or so, I'm ready. I don't like rushing things. But one of the things I've been doing, looking at, you can see, look, it's like, do you remember the buttercup thing? You put a buttercup under your chin, and if it glows under your chin, you like butter. So this is, I'm just having to, there we go. This is the DVD cover is glowing under my chin. I like the DVD. Yeah, I've been trying to, read books that have been sat there for ages, get them read, and then not in a chore way, not in a task way. It's not like, I've got to read it, but yeah, not buying new books, reading what I've got, read it, enjoy it, pass it on. Either I put things in my shop, or more often than not, passing things to a friend. And if it's not suitable for either a friend or the shop, the charity shop, of course. Likewise, some DVDs. And there's a few that I've really enjoyed over the years. I've got one of like the London Olympics from 2012. I've got my Manon de Source and Jean de Florette pair. And I've watched them all. Those I've watched 2 or 3 times. It's like, you know what? Let them go. Am I really ever going to sit down and watch 6 hours of the London Olympics again? Let it go. And you know what? What's the worst? In 10 years' time, I fancy watching it again. Well, pick it up secondhand. So yeah, going through things, getting rid of things. And this DVD I've had for ages. I am so delighted I finally got round to watching it. I'll show you in a sec. It's 2 discs. It was originally a BBC programme in 2005. I haven't had it that long, but I've had it a while. And it's 6 one-hour parts. So I treated myself over this last week, each evening, around about 11 o'clock. It's quite a discipline for me. Watch it, but don't do anything at the same time. So no pulling calendula petals off, no processing lavender, no cooking, no hopping off the seat to just go and stir the pot or whatever. Just stop everything and watch. And I'm so glad I did, because it's visual. But so worth it. What is it, Vivi? Show it to us. I have spent a week watching. Oh, hang on, light's going to be an issue. There we go. A Picture of Britain. Presented by David Dimbleby. That was a revelation to me as well, because I always think of him like the news, politics, whatever. Oh my goodness, what a delight. So, in a nutshell, this is all about the British landscape. Mostly it's countryside, but there is a little bit of urban landscape in there as well, particularly the North, the Midlands, looking at sort of the beginning of the Industrial Revolution and the erection of these huge, vast mills, Arkwright's mills, the Iron Bridge at Colebrookdale. But mostly it's about countryside. It's in 6 parts, called the Romantic North, that's all about the Lake District, the Flatlands, which is Suffolk, Norfolk, Cambridgeshire, Highlands and Glens, Scotland. Oh, and he hops over to Ireland at one point. The Heart of England. What was the Heart of England? Oh, the Heart of England. That was the one, sort of Derbyshire, Manchester, Ironbridge, that area. The Home Front, Kent and the White Cliffs, and then the mystical West, Dorset. More of Dorset in a minute. It's Dorset, Somerset. Gorgeous. Oh my goodness, what a treat. If you get a chance, if you see this DVD in a charity shop, grab it. I don't normally I've never put a DVD in my shop, but I think I'm going to put this one in there because I think someone's going to love it. The whole premise of it is so it's David Dimbleby out in the countryside or in the landscape, but talking about how these different landscapes, and they are so different, you know, if you think about the fenlands and then you think about the, you know, craggy peaks in Scotland or the Lake District, and then the gentle rolling countryside of the South Downs and into Dorset. So different. It's one of the reasons I absolutely adore this country, and I think, why holiday anywhere else? Well, the weather can be unpredictable, but why holiday? We have such an amazing landscape and dramatically different in different parts of the country. Anyway, so he takes us into these various landscapes, and the whole premise is, how is that landscape influenced, inspired our artists? So the focus is largely on visual artists, painters, but it also there's also music, so how it's influenced composers and writers, particularly poets. So, oh my goodness, I just made a few notes because I don't want to forget any. So, I mean, this is also how dramatic our landscape is. We go from the Brontes, we think of Wordsworth, of course, in the Lake District, wandering lonely as that cloud when, oh, look, loads of daffodils. John Clare, Rupert Brooke, gosh, it goes on and on and on. The music, what I really truly loved about watching these was it sort of took me back to a self that it's not exactly that I've shelved that part of me, but I just don't tap into it as much anymore. So with the artists, I mean, there was quite a lot of Turner. I think Turner appears in every episode, and I'm not a huge fan of Turner. I really don't like his work. I massively appreciate it. I think it's genius, absolute genius. It's not my taste. There's Constable, you know, we all probably know the Haywain. Flatford Mill, isn't it? So there's those kind of classic landscape artists, but there's also talk about sort of our sort of 20th century artists. And I think it was particularly the Homefront episode, so it was reminding me of artists like Spencer. I love Spencer. Ben Nicholson, Eric Ravilius, even, you know, Lowry. Lowry, of course, came up in that industrial episode. So what was lovely when I was watching each episode, it was just sparking off all these kind of, oh yeah, I used to really enjoy that artist there, So I was finishing watching each night about midnight, but I was still a bit awake. I simply went over to my bookcase, where you can't see it in any of the videos because it's the bottom two shelves. They come up to about here. They're deep shelves. It's all my art books. Mostly they're sort of monographs, as in an individual artist. So each night after I'd watched an episode, I'd grab one of my books off the shelf, get myself into bed, and just go through just looking at beautiful images. Like I say, Ben Nicholson, Eric Ravilius, Stanley Spencer. Gorgeous. And then I'd sort of like feel my eyes getting heavy. I'm like, oh, okay, put the book down now and just nod off. It was gorgeous. And quite a few mornings over this last week, I tend to work on the computer first thing in the morning, sometimes just for an hour, sometimes it can be 2 or 3 hours. But also what I've been doing is tapping into those favourite composers again. So either putting it on my stereo, Vaughan Williams, I adore Vaughan Williams. Vaughan Williams, Elgar, of course, Elgar. And there's one composer, I was like, I haven't got anything of his. Oh dear, is that one of the things I've given away? But the computer came to the rescue because I found stuff on the computer to play through the computer of George Butterworth. Brilliant. Look any of these people up, they're gorgeous. Vaughan Williams and George Butterworth, their work is so much around sort of folk music, sort of capturing the essence of folk music that's been handed down rather than written down. So trying to capture that before things are lost forever. You know, I think in recent years there has been a revival of all sorts of traditions. Some traditions have continued, like the big parade of burning down at Lewis on the south coast around bonfire night, cheese rolling, Morris dancing, mummer plays. Some of that has survived, and I think there are towns and villages which are trying to resurrect that, and it's great, it brings tourists in. If there's an event like that, bring it on. But likewise, songs, stories, this oral history, people like Vaughan Williams and George Butterworth have tried to kind of encapsulate in their composing so that these things aren't lost. Gosh, it's been wonderful. What else did I write? If you ever see it, grab it. If that's your kind of bag. I loved this. This is probably what attracted to me in the first place. This is quite Spencer-ish. This doesn't credit who the painting is by, but this image on the front of this kind of landscape, this is my absolute adored landscape. This makes me think of Dorset with arable fields, the corn, golden ripe. When I say corn, I mean wheat, of course, but cornfields to me, it's not sweet corn, animal fodder, it's wheat. And then these stooks of the sheaves of corn that have been stood up to finish drying. Love it, love it, love it, love it. That to me is Dorset. Wonderful. And Dimbleby, it was interesting that it was not how I kind of think of him, not at all. There was humour in it. He's quite funny, didn't it? I found myself really, really warming to him, feeling very attracted to him. I don't mean that in a kind of war way, but really attracted to his person. And my goodness, he recites poetry beautifully. I've got to warn you, I don't know, I mean, I am an emotional person, you know that, but there were times I found myself welling up a bit, little quiet tears on my cheeks. Sometimes it was sadness because so many of these artists, composers, poets, of course they've been killed in wars just when they're reaching their brilliance, and then their life's just snuffed out. So there are parts of it that were really moving, but parts of it that were moving because they're just so achingly beautiful. Oh, magnificent. Bravo, David Bumbleby. David Bumbleby. Bravo, David Dimbleby. Absolutely fabulous. Now, I'm banging on about Dorset again, aren't I? And my love for Dorset, and I was saying how, gosh, my energy's a bit flat at the moment. I'm not surprised. It's been a bit of a roller coaster year, and and you keep ploughing on, and sometimes the body says, you know what, just stop. I need a break. I get a bit emotional now. So I'm planning a trip. Hallelujah. To Dorset, obvs. You remember I had that letter from my sister, and I kind of knew her wishes anyway. But in it, she also... Let's have a deep breath. We can do this. She has asked me to scatter some of her ashes in a couple of our special places. So half of her is in Yorkshire. She's been scattered already up on the, as my brother-in-law calls it, the moors. He's a Yorkshireman. She's on moors. So they had a little moment up on the moors up there. But the other half of her is now with me, and I am taking her. Oh God, let's just plough on. I'm taking her home to Dorset, because that is a home for us too. This is happy. This is going to be happy. So, she's named a couple of beaches. They're big beaches though, but I know exactly. And the thing is, I know that when she wrote that letter and asked me to do it, I know that she knew that I would know exactly what she wanted. She will have known that I know what. It's knowing what you know. I know exactly where I'm taking her. There's a third place I would like to get to with her, but I just don't know if my knees will take it. I'm blimmin' gonna try though, because it's for me sis. And I'd walk over hot coals for me sis. And honestly, it's a bit of a steep climb. That might feel like hot coals in my knees, but I'm gonna try. Anyway, she has left me some money for the train fare and a couple of nights of accommodation. Oh, fab sis. I am, however, though, I'm going to dip into my house moving fund, probably another 150 quid or so. I'm going to try and stay a couple of extra nights because I'm going to make the most of this moment. I know that carrying out my sister's wishes, I know that's going to be incredibly difficult. I mean, it's easy, but I mean difficult. It's going to be emotionally, it's going to floor me. I know it will. I want to see to her wishes as soon as I get there. It'll be on 2 separate days because there's going to be a bit of a bus ride and a walk for anyway. But then I want a couple of days afterwards just to sort of let everything decompress a bit. And what I'm going to do, I've been looking at this up slightly, and I think this is a really a really smart. It's good thinking. It's practical thinking. Practical head again. I'm going to rent a flat for. It won't be quite a week, for about 5 days. Basically, I'm gonna rent a flat rather than stay at a hotel or even a bed and breakfast, because the thinking is this: while I'm there, I want to go shopping, food shopping. I want to do a weekly shop, because it's a long time since I've done a weekly shop down there. Obviously, I used to do it for my nan, but I tried to work it out. I think it's been 15 years since I've done a weekly shop down there. I've been backwards and forwards in that time, but yeah, not staying in that kind of way. You know, I've been staying at B&Bs and that sort of thing, or just eating out, or fish and chips, or whatever it is. Not fish, but yeah. So the idea is that obviously I'm going to tend to my sister's wishes, but I'm also going to spend some time there as, you know, pretending sort of that I live there, because I think I mentioned this when I might have been talking about Whitstable in Kent. It's all very well going to these lovely places, especially in the summer, Everywhere looks gorgeous in the summer, pretty much, doesn't it? It's all very well going to these places and at the height of the season when all the businesses are open and it's sunny and it's gorgeous and think, oh yeah, I could live here. What's it like out of season though? Now I know what the town is like out of season because especially in the last few years after my granddad had died and my gran was down there on her own, I was down there. I mean, there was a period of time when I was going pretty much every weekend. So October, January, March, it doesn't matter, you know, I was down there. So I do know what it's like out of season there. But I just want to have that feeling again because my nan moved out, I don't know, maybe, so I think it was like 14 or 15 years ago that my nan moved out. So every time I've been since, I've just been a visitor, I've been a grockle, I've been a tourist. So how about I go down, spend some time there. What's it like doing my weekly shop? Are all the shops there that I remember? Can I get the sort of things I want to get? If I can't get them, where am I going to get them? Is that accessible? I'm going to be using buses on a couple of days for my sister bits anyway. Just check out all the buses again. Yeah, just have another think about, is this somewhere that I really want to live, or is it just somewhere that I want to continue to visit? I'll visit for the rest, even if I don't live there, I will visit for the rest of my life because, like I said, it's home for us. And, you know, part of my sister is going to be... It is getting easier. I can get through most days without crying all day. I only cry if I think about her. But yeah, she's going to be down there. And one of the things that she'd said to my nephew that he relayed to me was that she knows I'm going to keep going back there. Even if I don't end up living there, she knows I'm going to keep going back. And so she's always going to be there to meet me off the train. She's always going to be there when I go there. So yeah, I think... gosh, sorry, I didn't mean to do this today. Yeah, let's go and see what it's like for shopping and buses and all those practical things. And I don't think the bus routes have changed very much, but things like the bus route to the nearest hospital is at Poole. Some of you will have heard of Poole Harbour. Actually, you can go two ways. You can go the long way all around the harbour, or you can take the shortcut with the ferry. The bus goes on the ferry. It's just a little chain link ferry. It's just basically, it's like a flat bottom boat that the cars and the buses sit on. Oh, hop off. There we are in Poole. Are those services still running? If I've got a hospital appointment about my knees, can I get to the hospital relatively easily? Because I don't drive. That's the big thing. So yeah, I'm going to have a little bit of a recce mission. While I'm there, just go and have a quick look with the estate agent, see what's what, look at, you know, what are the prices like at the moment. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I need a break anyway. I fully intend to spend the vast majority of my time simply sitting on a beach, whichever beach I fancy. There's a couple of beaches. Yeah, I'm just going to sit. I may take a book with me. I may... See, this is another recce thing, isn't it? It's like, what are the charity shops like? Are there any decent books there for me to read? There's a lovely little library in the town, so I know that service exists. I might take my sketchbook and some watercolours with me. I don't know. All I know is that, yeah, I'm going home for a little while. I think the fact that it makes me so emotional, I think that says a lot. I think it's, I did a video in, I think it was 2018, was it 19, of a trip down there. I was meeting up with my sister, my cousin and his wife. They were flying down from up north. They were flying down to Southampton and then picking up a hire car. So I was going to be arriving before them, but we'd all meet up down there and just have a long weekend together, which is glorious. And literally the minute I got off the train at Wareham, because then you have to take the bus ride down to my grandparents' town, but just stepping off the train at Wareham, I burst into tears every time, every single time. And they're not sad tears, it's more like, it's like a relief. It's like, yeah, it's a relief. It's like the safety valve comes off, and all the troubles and all the things which have been pent up and pushed down, whatever it is, it's like they all come out, because now I'm here and I'm safe and I can just be me. It's glorious. I love it. So yeah, I am going to take my swimsuit with me. Oh God, I hope the weather's all right, because yeah, one of the things I want to be able to do is have one last swim with my sister. I want to take a handful of her out swimming with me. I think she'd like that. So that's the plan. Oh, I'm so excited. I will take my camera with me. Of course, I want to show you some lovely stuff, but of course all the stuff, all my sister's stuff, excuse me a sec, you won't see. That's private, and it's going to stay private. But yeah, I'll take my camera with me, because I'd love to show you all sorts. I want to show you that little lane I was talking about where all the elm trees were cut down, and as a 4 or 5-year-old child I was like, who's stolen my magical place? Oh yeah, there's so much I want to show you. So yeah, all right, but I think for now, because I'm getting all again, yeah, please don't be disturbed by my tears. It's okay. It's, you know, it's just love. It's just love tippling out. But yeah, if you see Dimblebee's A Picture of Britain, if you can get hold of it, you might even be able to download it, stream it. I don't know what it's called. Oh, it's so well worth it. Really beautiful. I just said I was thinking about putting it in the shop, didn't I? But I think I might kind of want to watch it all again. It's quite, I was going to say it's information dense. That makes it sound a bit turgid. What I mean is there's a lot in each episode in terms of all the artists, poets, composers and what have you. Anyway, yeah, grab it if you can. I'm now waffling. That's it. It's time to say cheerio. Whatever you're up to, plan a camping trip, plan a trip. Patricia, thank you so much for your letter, because bam, you took me straight back to being a girl guide, and it was glorious. Is it starting to rain? Oh well, that sunshine was short-lived, wasn't it? Never mind. I will see you again soon. Might be the garden, or we're starting to get towards, no promises in terms of videos coming out soon or whatever, but we're starting to now get into DIY territory again, taps, etc. Anyway, whatever it is, I will see you again soon. Until then, please look after yourselves, look after each other, look after your environment. Remember, when you're leaving a trail, just bend the grass. Don't leave plastic. See you all soon. Cheerio.